vandalism.
Okay. The stipulations from the staff does not say that the wells would be fenced.
Actually, in the city code, which is at 1555, which governs oil and gas permits, basically it's 1555-110, basically requires all producing oil wells shall be equipped with electric pumping equipment and shall be enclosed with fences not less than 6 feet in height and provided with gates equipped with locks. So that's in the city code. So
Okay.
6-foot high fences with locked gates.
So we don't need that in the stipulations.
Right,
It's already-
covered under our ordinance.
It's already in the ordinance. Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Williams? I'm sorry, I need to snag your address as well.
Say again?
Your address, please.
2810 West 66 Terrace, Mission Hills, Kansas, 66208.
And we did allow an additional public comment. Does anybody else have any public comments possibly, for us to decide on whether we'd like to hear those? That is not an issue then.
Is it my understanding that no wells can be drilled closer than 200 feet to the road? Is that my understanding, or did I hear that wrong?
200 or 600?
I don't believe there's actually any stipulation regarding that.
I know the ones towards the back of the property, you're not gonna see based on what I'm looking at here, but I don't want what we have out there now, where you see all those little things going up and down all over the place, especially as it gets closer to the road. I would really
The
like...
first one's 660.
Yeah, but I think it's, what I'm trying to find out is that anything closer than that to the road, I mean, 660 feet looks like it's at the crest of that hill, possibly.
Let me back up a minute. The conditional use permit is contingent upon the site plan. So any significant changes to the site plan would need to come back before you.
Okay, so anytime they want to drill a new well or something like that, has to come back before us again.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
So this CUP, we're looking at the site plan, and it's going to be roughly, substantially where they've shown.
Yes.
Any significant change would come back to this.
That's
Okay, so
correct.
here's the question.
So
What's it
these are
significant
locked in.
change?
They've already decided these are the wells they want to drill at these locations, and that's not going to change on this CUP.
That's correct.
Okay.
And if they're looking at, and I'm not sure if I have a specific number of feet that
Okay.
it would be, but if it's generally in the same area, then we could approve that administratively.
Okay. I just want to screen as much of this as I can.
And just to clarify your point, the only thing that would be closer than the well would be the proposed tank battery,
Which is going
which
to
is
be screened,
screened by the trees.
which is fine.
Well, I think that since this first row of three is up on the hill, I mean, you can see on the topographic map that they're on the hill, I think that those should be screened. Beyond that, you're down below the hill, so the view sheds
Mm-hmm.
it's out of the view shed. I think those could go without being screened, but that first row of three needs to be screened because they're going to be up on the hill.
I mean, it's a few trees. I know these things aren't very big. I mean, I can't imagine that. I'm going to assume they're about the same size as the ones that are currently dotting the landscape out there. Okay. I see nods and said yes. So,
That's correct.
I'd really like to add a stipulation for that,
Okay.
at least that first row.
And actually, looking through the stipulations, I see that we did not include the usual stipulation that clarifies that the permit is contingent upon the site plan. I believe that's implied, but we still usually include the stipulation just to make that explicitly clear, so we may want to add that as well.
What's the verbiage that you'd like to have there?
It would be similar to what was on either of the site plans that you approved earlier.
So stipulation H could be, regarding the site plan?
The development shall be in accordance with Exhibit A, site plan, filed in the Office of Planning Commission Secretary, et cetera, which you can find on your staff reports for the previous site plan.
I've got it.
And it was also discussed to add a stipulation I, or can we change stipulation D and add in there the first row of wells must be screened as well?
I think we just modified that.
I think we
Yeah.
can modify D.
We can amend that to the tank battery and the southernmost 3 wells.
Proposed wells. Are there any additional comments or questions? Are we getting close on making an action? Any further concerns from Parks and Rec, since it looked like there was a couple times you possibly had comments? Or...
I don't think anything, I don't think I have anything else to add. Just a concern with future development, if this is a 10-year CUP or additional wells are developed, obviously there's, beyond the infrastructure that has been brought to the property, there's been a significant investment from our community, our citizens, to develop that area in a certain way with the thoughts that it would be residential there. So I do have concerns about that, with the wastewater treatment plant being put out there, the park, the schools, property for an additional elementary school. From a legal standpoint, I don't know that I can say anything, but from a development standpoint, certainly concerns.
Very valid concerns. We do appreciate that.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think for the most part, and I assume Mr. Hubbard may have a differing opinion, but I think our hands are somewhat tied in this because it is the owner's property and it is allowable, even with the CUP. I mean, we still have to give them a conditional use permit, but, and then hearing the owner's attorney say that they have the option to terminate it at any time, even though we don't have that option. But at least the owner has that option and turn it back in and cut it off at whatever time necessary, so.
I believe it's also their intent, because they
Yeah.
do want the land to be developed in the future, so.
Well, and, you know, the requiring of the screening, I'm just trying, I mean, it's such a great area out there for that park and the school, and a lot of people see that, and I just want to try to preserve as much of that as we can until this thing becomes housing, so.
Well, if I understand this right, the investment by the community that you mentioned, the infrastructure that's been put in, and the benefit district that's there, that's all required already, is it not? That benefit district payment and the repayment on that investment, that's going to happen whether they do this or not, right?
That's correct. It's 100% benefit district payable by the owner of the property.
And
It
so,
would only be in a default situation that the city would be involved.
and so they have to pay that benefit district fee, whether this sits as vacant land or it's developed as residential or it has oil wells on it. So I'm trying to figure out from the community standpoint, does this hurt the community from having put investments in that everyone that years ago thought this is the way this is going to develop, but now it doesn't look like it's going to be that way immediately. So, I mean...
But I also see the owners wanting to be able to make that payment as well.
Right.
And keep up those payments by, and at this time, this is their only, you know, their best viable, I won't say their only, but probably their best viable option to be able to start making those payments and not put them in default, or it defaults back to the city.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the city really wants to be a landowner, so.
Just to clarify something, I believe the right to terminate, my understanding from speaking with the applicant is that's actually a buyout clause. So it's not just that they can say, you know, we want you to leave now, it would actually be a buyout.
Yeah, I don't think the applicant would agree to it if it wasn't.
Right.
Okay.
hear a motion at this time?
I'll make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we, forward the conditional use permit for Russell Oil and Gas Lease CUP 1201 to the City Council with a recommendation for approval, following stipulations A through G, amending stipulation D to insert and the southernmost 3 proposed wells after the words of the tank battery.
Can you say that again, please? I've got, and the southernmost, and I lost you there.
And the southernmost 3,
3?
the southernmost 3 proposed wells. Those words are inserted after the tank battery. So it would read, the tank battery and the southernmost 3 proposed wells must be screened by evergreen trees planted according to the specific landscape plan that may be approved administratively by staff. Got that? And the addition of stipulation H, which will read as the standard stipulation for site plan.
The development shall be in accordance with Exhibit A site plan, which is filed in the office of the Planning Commission Secretary and incorporated by reference as it's set out in full herein.
At this time, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Godwin and seconded by Commissioner Copeland to forward the conditional use permit CUP 12-01 to the City Council with recommendation for approval with stipulations A through H as read. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. That was our last item under new business. Is there any additional staff information? I did want to thank staff for presenting some of the earlier applications. It looked like there was a lot of discussion with the applicant and going back and forth and fixing all the traffic concerns, and that is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I thought about pulling the quick trip thing, but I just want to commend staff for pushing for a lot of good stuff. I can live with the red band for now, and until the Board of Zoning Appeals sees it, but I think you guys did a good job with sticking to your guns on a lot of things on there, so.
And
I'm sure you would pull it down.
actually, I was very impressed with the parking on that,
Yeah.
it's parking on the 3 sides, and it looks like you can get to it, and it's not going to be a major traffic jam right there.
Yep,
They were easy to work with. They came in with a good plan from the start, so.
it's a good looking building.
And please pass that along to them as well. I believe they've left already.
Yeah.
Do we have an idea when we will see the final plat? Is that on for March, or is that it had not been?
They have not yet submitted it.
Okay. Are there any other information for Planning Commission tonight before adjournment? Anything else from staff? Not, a motion is in order.
I move we adjourn, Mr. Chair. Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Pop and seconded by Commissioner Copeland that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for this evening.
Oh, yes.
You can have it.
Amy?
I wish I could have.
Amy. When you were talking with them, but they look like entrances.
I probably